In this project design tutorial, we'll go over how to make a Facebook cover page. Facebook cover pages are similar to our YouTube cover pages in that you can make them as expressive as you or the client wants. As before, we want to open a new image with the correct size. The standard Facebook cover size is 851 pixels by 315 pixels. Let's open an image with this size now. From here, we'll do as we did before and create something a little more exciting like our YouTube cover image. Let's make this one about science and grab a picture of a laboratory background. Make sure if you use images, you get them from approved sources. No one wants to use copyrighted images in someone else's project. Here we'll add some text, as well as maybe some other social media URLs in our image to give the impression that the page is outside of Facebook as well. Once you've got the look right, it's just as simple as a YouTube cover page. One more thing, if you want to get the ratios right for mobile, make an image that is 640 pixels wide by 360 pixels tall. After that, it's really easy to make more cover pages as you see fit, as well as make sure to save everything as a PSD, so you can edit the cover page in case there's errors. Facebook also accepts PNGs for cover pages, so don't worry about compatibility too much. One of the best ways to make a stunning image that allows the viewer to get the message and the image tied together in a beautiful way are quote images. These are the type of images that you see with words overlaid or cut out of the image to make it look more like art than just text on an image. To show you how to create this image that I have here, let's start with a generic background so we can make something stand out. I went and I found a picture of a pile of leaves. This will be our base that we'll use to create the image. The words that we create will go into the leaves to look like they're coming out of the leaves. To start, I'll write the words life. It's never too late to jump in over the leaves itself. Doing so creates the usual text over image effect, which is fine on its own, but we want to make the words look as if they're underneath the leaves or coming out of the leaves. To do this, let's create another background layer copy on top of the text. And we can drag the opacity down enough so that we can see the words behind it. Doing this will allow us to see what leaves overlap onto the letters, and we'll begin extracting the letters using the Quick Selection tool. We'll do this so it has some of the leaves on top to make the letters look good and buried. This is the most time-consuming process of this effect, as again, you want to make it look like the leaves are laying on top, so take your time to get the leaves to look good. Next, you'll want to create a layer mask after you've selected your leaves on your background layer copy. Click the new Layer Mask button. Change the opacity back to 100%. Next, you'll want to add a drop shadow to your top background layer, so the leaves create a kind of 3D effect on your letters. The last effect we'll make here that makes the letters look like they were placed there instead of just added to the image is a texture that looks like rough paper or stone. Do this through the Pattern Overlay effect. Change the opacity just down to about 20%. This will allow the text to look like it was placed into the leaves instead of our viewer thinking we added them manually. And that's it for this effect. It's a simple one that really makes some images pop and gets some great views. Welcome to our next introductory tutorial for Photoshop. Today's topic is about the healing brush and the spot healing brush. We'll be using it to show you how you can touch up blemishes on a photo. This is great for touching up photos of friends, family, and other things you need to make look good. We'll start by taking a photo of someone having blemishes on their face and opening it in Photoshop. Doing this will allow us to have something to work with to show off the healing brush. If we select the healing brush here on the left, with the nice bandage icon on it, you can see that we have options up at the top. Sampled is what you normally want to use for your restoration of your faces and such in your blemished images. Using this, we'll hold the Alt key and click on a spot we want to use as a basis for healing the image. Once we've done that, we'll heal a spot here, and you can see that the brush has figured out what to use nearby to make the healing effect of the brush take place. If we continue, we can remove all the blemishes, and it's a pretty amazing tool. Another way we can do this is, of course, with our spot healing brush, which will do something akin to the selection tool and automatically come up with what you want to heal. At the top are our options. We can do proximity match, which will use what's around the spot you want to heal to fix, create texture, which will create a mix of textures from around the image and is generally not good for face touch-ups. Content aware will try to guess based on what's on the layer itself and what seems appropriate here. Proximity match is actually one of the best options, and you'll see that it tries to fit the fixes in where it can. So be careful with your healing and have fun making faces and other things look great. Smart filters are one of the most powerful features of Photoshop. We'll start this tutorial by showing you how we can make a smart object, add a filter to the image without it being permanent, and show you the power of smart filters that way. We'll start by opening this image of flowers here, and you can see that we have a great setup of a butterfly and some flowers. What we want to do is convert this image into a smart object, and all we have to do is right-click on the image and then click Convert to Smart Object. Doing that will set us up for any filters we want to add to this image, and it can be quite addicting to add filters and mess with the image. So let's try to isolate the butterfly here from the rest of the image. What we want to do is go ahead and go to Filter, then to go to Texture, and then Stained Glass. We'll fix the stained glass texture so that it looks smaller and looks good. We can see our butterfly in the back there. Next, we'll draw a nice quick selection around the butterfly. This is what we want to remain, and the rest stay in the stained glass filter. Last, we'll press Ctrl-I, which will put all the selection in black and allow us to see the butterfly. From there, we can tighten the mask around the butterfly so it looks like it's floating above the stained glass. And that's just the basics with what you can do with smart filters. Easy, simple to use, and you don't have to worry about them permanently editing the image this way. This next tutorial will go over the basics of how to create a great image dispersion effect. This effect is great because it looks like the image is being torn apart, but in a way that looks realistic and graphically amazing. Let's learn how to do this together. I've opened up an image of a man here. First, I'll start by creating a duplicate layer of the man in the background. Then I'll lasso over the man in the background layer. Right-click, and then do Fill. Make sure it's set to Content Aware, and it will let you fill in the background over the original man in the picture. We'll then select the entire model by using the Quick Selection tool. From here, depending on your Photoshop client, you can use Refine Edge or Select and Mask and give more of a refined edge to the hair on the model, so we can pick up individual hairs and outlines. Before clicking OK on the Refine Edge, let's output the selection to a layer mask. Now you can see the model is on a separate background. Let's duplicate the layer now. Then apply the mask we made from the previous layer. I'll rename this layer to the dispersion effect. Then I'll make a duplicate of this layer and rename it to man. Now I'll select the dispersion layer, then select filter, then liquefy. Next, I'll warp the model using the forward warp tool so we can make sure we can have a nice canvas for our effect later. This will determine the size of the dispersion effect. Take your time with the liquefy, then when you think you're done, hit OK. Now we'll make another mask, which we'll do by hitting Alt before clicking the new mask button, the little circle in a rectangle, so we fill the mask with black. This way, our dispersion effect is hidden until we need it. Before we continue, make the original background layer with our picture of our man hidden, so we can edit effects in. Now on our layer called man, we'll make a new mask with no black filled in, so just click the new mask button without holding any keys down. Once we've done that, make sure you're on the man layer's mask. Make sure your brush is set to black for the foreground color. Select the brush tool, then select a brush that will give a great dispersion effect. There are brushes out there for free that you can download that will give you the effect desired, so look for them. We'll edit the image to give a bit of a destroyed look. Then we'll switch to the dispersion layer and its mask as well. Switch the color to white, and start masking in, uncovering, the warped layer we did earlier. This will give you the effect of a dispersion going onto the image and looks really great. Experiment with this feature. It will allow you to create some really interesting images. Welcome back to our next tutorial in Photoshop, where we'll go over how to do a double exposure effect. A double exposure effect is how we'll blend two images together to make an interesting art project pop. Perhaps your client or project will want you to create some striking images here, and doing so through Photoshop, you will definitely wow the viewer of this image. Starting out, let's pick two images that we want to blend together. Here I'll blend an image of a beach ball with an orange. The idea of playing volleyball with a giant orange is pretty hilarious, don't you think? To start blending these two images together, I'll take the image of the orange, use the quick selection tool, and select the whole orange. Once I'll do that, I'll copy the orange selection into the image of the volleyball. As you can see here, the orange is way too large to be able to be blended with the volleyball. I'll need to scale the orange down to size. To do this, we'll need to make a copy of the volleyball layer to start off with. Drag the layer and make sure it's the top layer over the orange. Set the opacity to about 50%. Then we'll shrink the orange to about the same size of the volleyball. Do this by clicking the link icon up near the width and height. This way, with the opacity, we can see exactly what size we need the orange at. Apply the transformation when done. Next, we'll create a layer mask by clicking on the orange. Control-click the image to select all. Then move to the volleyball layer and click the new mask button at the bottom. Once we have that mask, we'll make a copy of the orange layer and then make a black mask of that layer by holding the Alt key and clicking New Mask. Using the Quick Selection tool, we can select the parts of the volleyball we want to erase. Once we've gotten the image the way we want, you can see that it has this great dual blend effect of having a volleyball that looks like a huge orange. Make sure to leave on the background for the largest effect of showing off the volleyball orange in the scene. Now you know how to use layer masks to blend two images together.